With Roy Hodgson having been fired, I'd like to give my thoughts on who should get the England job and review some of the candidates, as the FA hasn't appointed anybody yet. The first guy I'd like to talk about is probably the frontrunner for the England job, Big Sam Allardyce. He would give England a clear identity, even though his identity may be a little old and dinosaur-like. He'd give players on the fringe of the team, like Andy Carroll, a chance because of the way he plays, and he could play long balls up to the striker. And maybe if you played Andy Carroll and Jamie Vardy up top, if balls were to squeak through, or if Andy Carroll were to nudge on balls through to Jamie Vardy, he could just run and get on into a one-on-one and put it away. Look, I think he could actually make the England team fit the way he wanted to play, and he could give England that never-lose mentality that he's done with his pretty crappy teams he's coached in relegation scraps, like, for instance, the Sunderland of this year. I think he could really just make England a tough out in the tournaments, and they wouldn't disappoint like they've usually done over the past few years with Hodgson. The next main candidate being thrown into the fray is Bournemouth manager Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe would provide that never-lose mentality that Allardyce would provide, but he'd also provide some energetic, attacking, attractive football that England could really use in areas, and they have a lot of creative players he could have at his disposal. When you think about it, he's won actually a lot of stuff. He's won League One, he's won League Two, he's won the Championship. He's made Bournemouth and led them under his guide up the divisions. He's done really well for them, and I think he really knows how he likes to play. And honestly, he made a team with a stadium that's the size of a garden shed stay in the Premier League for a year with very limited resources. I mean, he's done a really good job at Bournemouth, and I think he could do a similar job to England, considering that he'd have much more resources in England than he's ever been given at Bournemouth. I think he or Big Sam would be fine people for the job. The third and final person that I think the FA may be considering for the England job, or has reportedly been considering for the England job, is U.S. manager Jurgen Klinnsman. Now, as an American, my instant reaction is to tell the FA to stay away from our man because he's a good manager. I think he could do well for England, and I think that he would bring a certain type of, resiliency that he's had with this U.S. team in certain tournaments, getting us far in, the Copa America, and getting us far, kind of far in the World Cup, getting past the group of death in 2014. He brings that certain, I guess you could say, a never-lose mentality. I guess that's kind of the similarity between Big Sam, and Eddie Howe. But he's also been a player on the international stage, and I think that provides a valuable experience because he knows what some of these players are going through, and he could relate to that. I think he could be a good man for the job. I just don't know if it'll happen because I think the people in the U.S. and the people running the USFA and everything, or SA because we call it soccer here, just wouldn't let him go, and I don't think the FA would be able to approach him. And I think there would be considerable backlash from within England that he's not English, so they shouldn't hire him. So I don't think he'll get hired, but I think he would add a nice brand of football that England could use. To conclude this video, I will say that the three candidates I've listed I think are good, would all be good choices by the FA, but I only think that two of them are realistically going to happen, Big Sam and Eddie Howe, and I think the most realistic is going to happen is Big Sam, because I think he's already gone into talks with the FA. That's the big report. I don't think Jurgen's going to happen, and I listed the reasons for that before, but I just think that all three of them would be a considerable improvement over Hodgson and some of the managers that England's had in the past, and would also be an improvement over Alan Shearer, who says he wants the job. Don't give it to Alan Shearer. Just don't. I know I might take a bashing from Newcastle fans for saying this, but don't give it to Alan Shearer. He failed at Newcastle. How's he going to do at England? So you just don't give it to him. And I think any of the three candidates would be good that I've listed. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe and check out my other videos.